So many people also asked me, why does dairy also affect in the intestinal tract or gut and many of those things? See, first of all, dairy is not our food, right? Dairy is meant to feed. Dairy is coming from a mammal, and that mammal also has given birth to a baby, and then that milk is for the baby. So when we don't share our human milk with another animal, I don't think it's fair to expect another animal or another mammal to give their milk for this mammal, right? So that is unfair, in my opinion. I don't think nature has actually, um, uh, nature supports that. We we can also consume our mother's milk only for a certain period of time, which is when we have the microbiome to basically digest that uh, milk. But once we don't have those microbiomes to digest that milk, even our mother's milk will not get broken down inside the body. So, having said that, when we continue to eat foods which are not meant for our body, they don't get broken down properly before they reach the intestines. So what can these do? These kinds of foods, they tend to inflame the intestinal tract. So they can also irritate the intestinal tract and then cause the body to pass motions quickly, or because of other issues also they can constipate. Because what happens is an acidic environment is created. So what how does this milk become acidic? First of all, uh, animal protein can be very acidic. First thing. Second thing is, we don't have a condition in the body, we don't have the apparatus in the body to digest this milk. So because we don't have the microbiomes to digest this milk, the food doesn't get digested properly. So what happens to the food that doesn't get digested properly or broken down properly? They die. They are not fresh anymore, they die. They become, so what happens to dead food? They ferment, they become acidic, and such acidity eventually leads to the body trying to bring in all the alkalinity from the other parts of the body to match, to neutralize it. Also, um, these foods tend to eventually what attract all these non-symbiotic germs or the scavengers. So you are essentially continuing to, you will eventually continue to feed these germs inside the body, and they have their own toxic debris, their toxic eliminating waste. So see, for example, if you don't remove the baby's diaper very quickly, and if the diaper is soiled, it can also cause rashes to the baby's bottom. So if the human feces can cause rashes to the baby's bottom because it irritated that skin, and it caused inflammation, and that is an acidic condition. So what happens inside our body? The same thing happens inside the body also. So similarly, these germs which are actually eating dead food, if they eliminate, their poop can be even more acidic compared to the poop that we are. Of course, if you're consuming dead food like meat and cooked food, of course, even that is of course, cooked food, if it is relatively not spoiled, then okay. But then if it is spoiled, I think it becomes even more acidic, like the all these germs, non-scavenger germs. Sorry, scavenger germs. So they release a lot of such things, and these tend to be in the liver. So the liver is not doing its job. So there's a lot of toxic. Liver's job is to also just, so these germs and their neurotoxins can also weaken the liver. The liver's job is to basically filter the blood, to inspect the blood, and inspect the blood for various toxins and all those things. So many of these viruses basically are in the liver. So the liver weakens, and all these dead foods, um, and the acidity in the body, and a weak liver doing a weak job, by not breaking, by not what you say, contributing properly to the digestion. So many of these issues basically inflame the gut, and all these pathogens continue to eat the food that are not meant for the body, and then they cause more issues, and it eventually, what you say, irritates the lining of the colon. So over time, what happens, many of these things also affect the muscular movements of the colon, and affects the peristalsis action of the colon. So it basically weakens the entire system. Such an acidic, constantly drinking acidic or eating acidic food eventually affects the lifestyle of the body, or the organs and all those things. And what also happens is, when the muscles weaken, there are lots of bends in the colon, right? So these bends also become, they weaken in those bends, and when the peristalsis action is actually affected, the what is that, the um, feces don't actually pass very well into those bends, and they get clogged up there, and anything that is clogging up also hurts the colon walls, and basically it is a good thing to avoid foods that are not meant for the human body. If you are really meant to consume in the plant based world, if you are meant to consume any food, consume to ensure that it is only about 20 to 25%, um, and definitely not 100%. So you can consume fruits, vegetables, your juices, your greens, and many of those things. Even if your cooked food is there in your, as a part of your lifestyle, ensure that it is not predominantly cooked food, and let it be predominantly a lot of raw, and then cooked food is only a part of the component in your whole eating habits. Okay, so to answer the question, even if you don't see a obvious problem with consuming dairy and gluten, it will definitely hit somewhere. So I suggest that you switch to foods that are not, um, that are first of all not animal food. Secondly, foods that are not very sticky and gummy and altered in its nature as much as possible. So I wouldn't advise dairy at any cost. Even if you have to consume gluten, uh, revisit your condition. If you are chronically ill, if you already have a lot of conditions, I would advise that you don't eat gluten and feed the condition that is already in there in the body. So if you have detoxed for quite some time, then maybe occasionally having wheat is okay. But I would definitely advise you to relook and rethink about these decisions, and then take a call on that. So yeah, these were the questions that I wanted to address in these calls, in these videos. The One of the major reasons that I wanted to make these videos is, um, why these constipations happen, and uh, I think I will cover the solutions or some of the best practices in the next video.